Hello, fellow traders. 'Tis I, the Rumpled One. A lot of traders out there on the forums, they wonder about me and all the different systems, and they say you can't possibly trade all those things, and you're still searching, you're not successful, blah, blah, blah. So I thought what I should do is go over the systems that I've developed, created, invented, used, just to share them with you. So, TheRumpledOne's trading methods. To start out with, Sunday here in the US is when Forex market starts. And we know that sometimes there's a gap. There could be a 10, 20 or more pip difference between the open on Monday, which is our Sunday, and the close on Friday. So the first trade I look for, if I'm around on a Sunday afternoon, is I look to see if there's a gap. And as you can see over here, all the gaps filled. So that is the first trade I look for during the week, and usually that's good for 5 or 10 pips. Easy pips. Start the week off with a win. Next, I come to my dashboard here, and this is where I can search for different trades. For example, if I'm looking for a buy zone trade, I would look here, close, open. So you can see here, in fact, the Swiss francs right at the open. It's not above or below it. So I can use this to find a buy zone trade. I can also use this to find a daily cross trade. Once again, if price was above and then cross below the daily open, I can take that trade. The same with the weekly. So you can see here the EUR GBP, the Euro British Pound, is only 9 pips away from the weekly open. So that's a potential weekly open cross trade. And we can do the same with the monthly cross and the same with the yearly cross. You can see right here the Swiss franc is just 36 pips below the yearly open. So this is why I have these gauges, because with one look I can see many different trades. Also using these gauges, I can do the daily rat zone trades. You can see here this is within 20 pips of the high. So if I was a red rat, I could take that trade. Here, the Canadian dollar is right at the daily low, so I could look for a green rat trade here. So once again, this gauge shows me the potential trades that I have. And I can do the same thing trading off the weekly lower high, the monthly lower high, or the yearly lower high. So these gauges tell me a lot, and that's why I use these gauges. So instead of looking at charts, I can look at the gauge and go, okay, wow, look at this. The Euro Yen is making a monthly, weekly, and daily low. So it's the lowest point in the month. So I might look to trade a reversal off of that level. As opposed to here, the Canadian dollar is 67 pips away from the monthly low, 7 pips from the weekly, and 3 pips from the daily. So you can see here that we must have some support at that weekly low. Now, the other trade is a trade I invented this year, which is the daily Wick Zone, the high top bottom low. And so the indicator shows me where there's a trade. You notice that the Australian US dollar is highlighted inside the high zone. Well, what that's telling me, the reason why it's highlighted is because if you look, it's above the weekly open, it's above the daily open, and it's also above the hourly open. So it says take that trade. As opposed to the Euro British Pound, it's not telling me to take that trade, because chances are it's above the weekly, above the hourly, but it's probably below on I'm sorry, above the weekly, above the daily, but it's probably a red candle on the hourly. So as you can see, it says training wheels on. That's what I mean by training wheels. You don't want to go against the hourly, daily, and weekly unless you're an experienced trader. And even then, you might not want to buck that trade. So that's the gauges. So from here, we can move on to actual trading. So here's the buy zone. As you can see, the British pound, these are hourly candles, started off, hit the buy zone, so you could enter the trade here, and as you can see, there were pips to be made. Then it came back down, went through the daily open, hit the short zone. If you would have taken that trade, once again, pips to be made. Simple. Just taking the buy zone, or you can do the open cross. The reason I do the buy zone trades is because I know if it moves about 7 pips off the open, either way, it's going to keep going. That's just usually the way it works. When I first did this, I made it 3 and 4 pips, but upon further analysis, it made more sense to move it out to 7 and 8. Because once again, we do statistical analysis. Then the next trade is the rat zone trade. And once again, you see here, price came up, put in a high. This rat zone, which is 20 pips off the daily high, as you can see here, as it broke through, it came all the way back down. There's pips to be made there, put in a low, and as you can see here, if you traded out of this zone, there were pips to be made once again. These are spaced at 10 pip increments, so you would have had at least a 10 pip trade or better trading this, and that's assuming you take it at the last possible moment as opposed to entering down below. So once again, simple trade, profitable trade, the rat zone. The next trade is simply horizontal lines. I have these set up at 10 pips, but usually we can switch them over. We can do the psychological type trade, and we turn the sweet spot gold, my modified version, we can turn it into 25 pip increments. And as you can see, you trade with the candle color. So it put in a high, it reversed out of this area, coming to this area. So if you take the short, there was money to be made. And then it stuck around here. You can see here the 00, 140.00. There was definitely reaction. You can see here it came back up. There was 25 pips that way, came back down, 50 pips this way. Once again, trading with the candle colors. Candle colors using the TRO multimeter candle color. You want to trade with D1 and W1. If they match, you don't want to go against them. Do not trade against D1 and W1. Very simple trades, very profitable. As you can see, no squiggly lines were harmed in the making of this video. That's just a joke. And finally, my latest system that I developed is the daily wick zones, at which here, this is the upper wick of yesterday's D1 candle. This is the lower wick. And to show you what I mean, let's switch over to daily. And you can see right here, here's the upper wick of yesterday's candle. Here's the lower wick. And the idea behind this trade is if price enters a zone, you want to take the trade as it leaves the zone. You either trade long or short out of the zone. You don't trade into the zone. Let price come into the zone. Let price leave the zone. As you can see here, it touched this 68.73 number, which just so happens to be the monthly open. I took the labels off to keep the chart clean for demonstration purposes. And you can see here, there's the weekly open. Hit the monthly open, crossover, which again is one of my favorite trades, weekly open cross. It came down, came into this zone, and exited this zone. So there was many opportunities to get short here, get short here, get short here. Once again, simple trades. This is the previous day's middle. Another trade I like to take. As you can see, it hit the middle and could have gone long. Hit the middle, you could have gone short. Of course, it's not going to work each and every time, but if you use proper position size and proper stop loss placement, you can ride out these trades for days or weeks and not get stopped out and not have a huge drawdown because of your position size. So there's a tour of the TheRumpledOne's trades. As you can see, they're very simple, no higher math, complicated math involved. Something any trader, especially a beginning trader, can do. Once again, you just use the proper position size and stop loss placement, and you too can be a successful trader. So if you have any questions on these, feel free to ask. I don't mind answering questions. One thing, if you have a question and you're posting it to a forum, especially if it's about an indicator or one of these systems, please post a chart so I can see what you see, and then I can answer your question. And also, if you have a question about an indicator, please give me the exact indicator name. That's, the disk file name of the indicator, because I've written hundreds of them, and if you just show me one, I have no idea. I don't know what version it is, and it's really hard to figure it out, because sometimes people ask me about indicators that I've worked on maybe 5, 10 years ago, and then it's just like I have no idea, and then I finally figured out. It's like, guess what? I didn't even write that one. That's just one I modified. Because a lot of times indicators don't come with these little with the arrow boxes or any type of gauge, and it helps me in trading because I guess I'm more digital than analog. So once again, I appreciate your kind words of support. Appreciate your support. And as always, fellow traders, it's not what you trade, it's how you trade it. The TheRumpledOne, signing off.